I didn't give birth to this roof, but I'm going to raise it like it's my own. That absolutely horribly delivered line aside, I really like this movie a lot. Yes, it's called Love Hard. What can I say? I got that Christmas spirit, man. Love Hard is a fairly new Netflix original that is first and foremost a romantic comedy, and secondly, happens to be set during Christmas. So it's a Christmas movie. The story follows the character of Natalie, who is a columnist for this trashy website where she writes about all of the pratfalls that she's gone through in her real life when it comes to online dating. And she just can't find the one. But in true romantic comedy fashion, now it seems that Natalie has finally met the perfect match in Josh. Yeah, he seems to be a really good guy. Unfortunately, he lives all the way on the other side of the country. So what do you think Natalie does? That's right, like I said, it's a romantic comedy. She's gonna risk it all for love, get on a plane and fly all the way from Los Angeles to New York and surprise Josh, someone she's never met in real life, for Christmas. Unfortunately for Natalie, when she arrives, she realizes she has been catfished when Josh is actually Josh. Now, as pissed as Natalie is, and yes, that does make her a little bit shallow, but come on, you'd be pissed too. She makes a deal with Josh to pretend to be his girlfriend over Christmas to impress his family, and in turn, Josh is going to set Natalie up with Tag, who is an old friend of Josh's and the guy that he happened to use for his online profile photo. So, it's a story that we have seen countless times in rom-coms before, all the way to the point that the real reason Natalie sticks around, aside from wanting to meet this Tag guy and hopefully fall in love, is that she needs her next juicy story for the column, because if she doesn't get it, she thinks she's going to be fired. But if we say that it's all about the journey and not the destination, then Love Hard has a really funny and pretty great journey. Actually, it's got a pretty incredible destination too. Like, of course, we know how this is going to play out, but by the time we get there, the way it plays out is actually super sweet, pretty tightly written, and has a huge nostalgia throwback that fans of this genre in particular will probably really appreciate. Now, I'm not going to spoil that here because I loved it, but there is a little bit of a tribute paid at the end of the movie, and if you're anything like me, yeah, you're going to love it. But that's the end. And as great as it is, the journey is that much better. And that's because as much as it's a story filled with fluffy moments and stereotypical characters and situations, it's the performances from the two leads that really made this movie stand out. Neither one of them was like crazy over the top, and they were both believable. Now, no one is perfect, and both characters and story moments in this movie do suffer from conveniences and what felt like rushed beats, but for the most part, this was a really enjoyable movie. Now, the character of Natalie, who really is our sort of like heroine in this story, I found her intriguing almost immediately because she says pretty much in the same breath that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, you bet your ass it is, and that Love Actually is trash. Shut your mouth. So now I'm invested in this character because I both completely agree and completely disagree with her. What else is she gonna do? It's just like one of those character hooks that just really works. That's why they do them. And yes, you could totally take her character and transplant her into any number of Kate Hudson, Sarah Jessica Parker, Sandra Bullock romantic comedies from the early 2000s. But you know what? I kind of liked those movies, so I'm not overly shocked that I enjoyed it here. Jimmy Yang as Josh was spot on too. He played the role of the insecure guy really well, but not in a way that came across as overly pathetic. Like, he still needs to learn how to stand up for himself and learn what it is that people really value. So sure, his character has a very generic arc he's gonna go through, but it's not done in a way that's annoying. It's a relatable character, and that's why stuff like that works. The movie is filled with very entertaining moments as these two characters move from scene to scene trying to keep their ruse alive, finding themselves faced with either challenging characters or difficult situations. Yes, it is nothing new, but it's a very entertaining time. And the movie does a really decent job of bringing absolutely everything full circle by the time all the chips are on the table. There's a lot of subplots going on in this movie, and by subplots in a romantic comedy, they're not Shakespeare. Calm down. But there are little things here and there that usually just sort of get ignored or swept under the carpet by the time these movies wrap up. But there is one character in particular that gets his shout out at the end, and I really respect the movie for doing that. It's nothing major, but it was cool to see. My one little about this movie was that the last thing I wanted to hear was another argument against the Christmas song, Baby It's Cold Outside. You can keep that conversation to yourself. And while the movie almost put me off with its take on the whole debacle, the scene that really leans into it had me smiling and enjoying the characters even more. And again, that's all thanks to the performances from the leads. So yes, in the end, it is a fluffy romantic Christmas comedy that absolutely checks every single box to make sure it's generic, but it's got quality through and through. And it's the perfect movie to curl up with this holiday season if you haven't seen it already. Love Hard gets an 8.5 out of 10. It is a great romantic comedy, if not completely by the books, and a pretty decent Christmas movie. This is one I could see myself revisiting once a year. Oh, and side note, can you believe that it's been 18 years since Love Actually came out?